All right, folks, it's now November 27th, and right away we're getting back into it now. I did a video yesterday, it was right before the Gotham Awards started, so really quick. This is just going to be relatively quick and easy video here. We're going to go over what happened to Gotham last night, what, if any, significance it has to the Oscar race, and also here with National Board of Review. They just announced, actually about the time of this recording, about half an hour ago, who their winners were. Okay, so let's start with Gotham really quick. Kind of a surprise for Best Feature. They went with The Writer. It was the only nomination for the film, and it won. It pulled a Grand Hotel. Son of a bitch. Oh well. Let's see. So that one won. I was thinking either The Favorite or First Reform Beale Street would be one of the ones to take it, but nope. They went with The Writer. Another upset was in documentary last night with Hale County this evening winning over Won't You Be My Neighbor. And sometimes, yeah, when you have a film like that's a big hit with audiences, and it's one of the more critically acclaimed films of the year. That's a doc that gets mainstream attention, like that one did. Sometimes you get critic groups and some of these independent groups that shy away from that a little bit, and they want to recognize some of the smaller ones, so something like Hale County or Minding the Gap, or looking ahead over here to. National Review, RBG was one that they awarded today instead of Won't You Be My Neighbor, but yeah, sometimes they do that. So that doesn't. I don't think that means we abandon Won't You Be My Neighbor or anything. But yeah. Okay, then in the acting races at Gotham, of course, remember they only just take it down to one category. So there's one category for actor and one category for actress. And the actor one went to I don't think this was a big surprise. Ethan Hawke for First Reformed. Yeah, so we'll see. I think we'll see him again at. I don't have him getting in, believe it or not. I don't have him getting in at the Globes, but I have him getting in at SAG, Critics' Choice. I don't know about BAFTA. Probably not BAFTA, but I think he'll get in at the Oscars too at this rate. Actress, color me shocked. It was Toni Collette for Hereditary. Yeah, last night I was thinking. I think Glenn Close was probably the one I was going with for sure, and then I was thinking, well, maybe Catherine Hahn for Private Life, maybe, but I mean, not. It wasn't a sure bet or anything. Yeah, again, I don't know about Toni Collette though at the Oscars or anything. I mean, at this rate, I think I talked about it enough yesterday with the whole thing about horror movies at the Oscars and stuff. They just traditionally don't do well, unless it's like it's like cicadas. It's like every 17 years they do well. Like you had Get Out or Sixth Sense or Silence of the Lambs, Exorcist, and Psycho, and if you want to count Fatal Attraction as a horror film, then there's another one. It's like every now and again they'll go there, but it's not every time. So and that's even in the acting categories too. So keep that in mind too. But yeah, I would say if she can land like a Globe nomination, that would be huge. If she could land a Globe nomination, especially since Olivia Colman. Let me just double check this really quick. I want to see at the Globes here, because like a lot of the heavy favorites for actress this year are in that drama category now, especially with Lady Gaga going over, and that's the wrong one. Hold on, let me pull up Globes. Let's see here. The drama race is where I want. Yeah, like you've got, I mentioned Glenn Close. You got Lady Gaga. You got Melissa McCarthy. You've got Viola Davis in there. Yalitza Aparicio. You got Julia Roberts, Saoirse Ronan. A recent change. Don't know if it's going to come through or not, but they just announced also that Natalie Portman is going lead for drama actress. So not in the comedy musical race, where Vox Lux, it's I guess sort of a musical, but again, like Star is Born, I guess they want to put it in the drama race just because. Yeah, so you got all them to worry about. Nicole Kidman in Destroyer is a possibility. I mean, sometimes the Globes do like Nicole, so keep that in mind too. Yeah, so Tony's got to get in over everybody there, or a few of them at least. One of them to get that slot. But it's like that's a lot of people you got to jump over. So keep that in mind. Also, the film, I haven't seen it yet, but it's, from what I hear, very divisive, kind of love it or hate it kind of horror movie. So, that's the thing too, is with a lot of these critics groups, you might have a few critics, especially when we get to like the New York and LA, when they're all in a room and they're all deciding stuff. You'll have a couple critics that are like, yeah, we loved it. And then there's a couple other critics that'll just shoot it down right away and say, no, it's not happening. And then it's like that offset each other, you know. Um, yeah, but of course, in a kind of more a private jury like this with Gotham, it's like that something like that is a little more possible. Screenplay went to First Reform for Paul Schrader. He and the two writers on The Favorite, I think, were the ones that were going to fight this out, and it went to Paul Schrader. Let's see, the rest of it, just a couple, like the breakthrough categories. You got breakthrough actor and director, both went to 8th grade for Elsie Fisher for actor, of course, and Bo Burnham for director there. So, I thought 8th grade would have been a much higher nominated film, though, in this overall for Gotham. I was thinking like feature, I was thinking actress for her. If you count, Josh Hamilton, I think is his name, the guy who played the dad, he was terrific in his role. I would have thought screenplay too, but again, there might be, some, or no, I'm thinking of Indie Spirits. I was like, Indie Spirits has a different thing, where if it's a first screenplay, then it'll compete there and stuff. But no, Gotham has it totally different. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, we kind of went through it yesterday too. It's like, every few years, they'll get a few right, but I mean, right now, unless Ethan Hawke just totally starts barnstorming all the way through all the acting races, and wins, like, he'd have to win most, if not all, of the big critics' prizes. He'd have to surprise everybody and win that Globe over Bradley Cooper, which is probably not going to happen. I mean, I heavily doubt it. He's got to win the Critics' Choice. He's got to get nominated at least at BAFTA. We don't know how well that one's going to play over there. So it's like there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen for that one to be right. And the exact same for Toni Collette. Exact same. So, yeah. Anyways, they might maybe screenplay gets right, because you do have, you've got Green Book and The Favorite are the two, I think, right now that are kind of battling out for the win in original screenplay. So that leaves room for something like First Reformed, or for me, more likely, I'm thinking like Vice or something like that. If one of those two can split the difference there and kind of, work through the votes to win, then that's a possibility. But again, a lot has to happen for that one to get there. I think it would help definitely for Schrader's case if First Reform gets in for screenplay at the Globes, and if it gets in, I think it'll get in at the Critics' Choice too. Yeah, so it has to, it kind of has to get a couple other key nominations, I think, before that can happen, but we'll see. Okay, so that's that. We got through that actually relatively quickly. Now we'll go to National Board of Review. Remember, National Board of Review, again, is another one where it's like every few years they just go on their own path and they don't give a fuck. Like with Most Violent Year winning in 2014, and then Mad Max winning the next year. They went with Manchester by the Sea a couple of years ago, and last year they went with The Post. So they'll usually get a few that are nominated at least in the Best Picture category, and that overall get a good fair share of nominations. They went pretty. I don't want to say by the book, but a lot more traditional than they usually go. There's not as many head scratchers here for their prizes here. Remember that they have, we'll get to them eventually, but there's the film lists they do where they list 10 films, not in any specific order. They just list them alphabetically when they announce here. And then there's one more that they say is the best, and that's where it comes to here. So we'll get to that too. So you can consider those 10 films kind of the nominees, under which, they lost to the winning film. They do that for the overall film. They do that for foreign language. They do that for documentary, and they do that for independent films. So we'll kind of go through as many of those as we can there. Okay. So best film, Green Book. This one I was thinking like yesterday I kind of mentioned, I was like, it could be this or it could be this. It's really hard to just nail it right on the dot for where they're going to go. Unless, some of the acting races I was thinking maybe, but anyway, so yeah, Green Book is one, and I had mentioned that one yesterday, and I think I had a couple of these right, because I mentioned, like, we'll get to the top films here, but like I mentioned Quiet Place, and I mentioned Beale Street, and I think I mentioned Black Panther. Pretty sure I did, yeah. And obviously Star is Born, a few of these, that got multiple wins here we'll talk about. Green Book also won for Best Actor for Viggo Mortensen. I was thinking Cooper would win that one, but turns out Cooper won for director for A Star Is Born. They usually go with more of the veteran directors here. Like Spielberg did not win last year, I don't think. Let me just double. I know the Post won for like film, actor, and actress last year. I do not think it won for director as well. But it's it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you don't always uh, it doesn't always happen here. Okay, where's director at? Oh, they went with Greta Gerwig last year. That's right. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, they kind of sometimes they like to go their own way on the directors too. Like they went with I remember they went with Ridley Scott in 2015. In 2016, it was Barry Jenkins for Moonlight, and we knew he was in the discussion. And Greta, I think, she was by the time National Board Review was around last year. I think we were talking about Greta for director. I'm pretty sure we were. Yeah. And yeah, for sure, I think we're talking Bradley Cooper this year. Ridley Scott was leading the race at that point, so that was no surprise. The Year of a Most Violent Year, though, that's the one that kind of sticks out in my mind because that's when Clint Eastwood won for American Sniper, and we were just like, whoa. And I think at that time, too, it had played at AFI Fest, but I was like, it hadn't released yet. We weren't sure how it was going to do, so yeah. Anyways, I remember Spike Jonze. I'm kind of looking through the list here. Spike Jonze won in 2013 for Her. Catherine Bigelow won for Zero Dark 30. So they're usually, they award it to, unless it's somebody like Clint Eastwood where they kind of go their own way, it's usually somebody who's in the conversation. So yeah, Bradley Cooper is no big surprise there, but I would have thought, I can't remember if I gave a suggestion. I was thinking like maybe somebody like Yorgos Lanthimos for or Lanthimos. I'm still I hear both pronunciations. For The Favorite, I was thinking that, or I have to look up my video again from yesterday to see what else I said. Yeah. So, I think I probably said Alfonso Cuarón, didn't I? Yeah. That's another one. Roma. We'll talk about that one too. Let's see. Star is Born also won for actress and supporting actor. That was a big surprise for me. Now, Lady Gaga, I don't know. I'm still not on board if she wins Best Actress. I'm going to be a little disappointed in that. Just my personal opinion, but oh well. This is a big moment for her today. I think to get the win over like Glenn Close and Olivia Colman and a few of the other ones there. That's pretty good for her. I don't know, because obviously we'll get the New York Film Critics Circle votes on Thursday. They're probably going to go more toward that. They're either going to go foreign with Yalitza Aparicio and Roma, or they're going to go with like a Glenn Close or an Olivia Colman. I think it's one of those three. I doubt. I mean, another one. It's a possibility, but maybe Melissa McCarthy. Sometimes they do like those kind of dramatic changes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but. Okay, I don't want to. I would have to look it up here, but something tells me back the year of the Truman Show they might have gone with Jim Carrey, but that I don't know. It sounded right at first, but then I was like, that can't be right. Let's see here. Let me jump ahead. What was that year? 98. No, that was Nick Nolte for Affliction. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that was really playing around that year. Actually, that did not win for supporting actor. Damn, I would have thought James Coburn. Oh well. Anyway, so now that we're off the sidetrack there. Sometimes, yeah, they do kind of like those dramatic changes there, but yeah, I would think Lady Gaga's she's a possibility for sure at New York. She could win L.A. I could see her winning L.A. if it doesn't go to somebody like Yalitza or the other two we mentioned, Glenn Close or Olivia Colman there. So, yeah, I would be on the lookout for that, but I wouldn't, personally, I'm not betting on it for New York. Sam Elliott, supporting actor, is a weird one for me. Not like weird, like what is it doing there? Because I get it. I mean, like I said, I think I said yesterday, he's got enough scenes and stuff with the limited screen time he has to warrant the nomination and everything. But it's just, I would have thought, Mahershala Ali for Green Book, or Timothée Chalamet for Beautiful Boy, or Richard E. Grant for Can You Ever Forgive Me? But no, they went with Sam Elliott. But looking back, I did mention like they gave it to Jeff Bridges a couple of years ago for Hell or High Water, and last year Oh shit, who they give it to? I think they gave it to Willem last year, didn't they? Pretty sure they did. Yeah. So they do kind of like the veterans in this category too. That's something to keep in mind. And historically, that's another case at the Oscars and really most places. Like Sylvester Stallone won here for Creed in 2015. 2014, they probably. Oh no, they went with Ed Norton that year. That's right. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm still in that camp. I'm one of the people that says, even though I love J.K. Simmons and Whiplash, the movie, I still think Ed Norton should have won that year for supporting actor. He was terrific in Birdman. Yeah, so that was a little bit of a surprise for me, but yeah. No surprise, I actually nailed this one. Regina King for supporting actress for Beale Street. Beale Street also picked up adapted screenplay for Barry Jenkins. I think it's him or the four writers on BlacKkKlansman at the Oscars for that one. I'm still thinking Regina King. She could really, I mean, with the Globes and Critics' Choice and everything else, she could just really get on that bandwagon and just start winning everything. I absolutely believe it. Yeah. Original screenplay was Paul Schrader for First Reformed. Again, that's another notch in his belt here. But we'll again, if he can get a Globe nomination, and he doesn't have to win the Globe, but he has to at least get nominated there, and and keep going along. Writers Guild obviously would be another big one. He could. I mean, I don't know about. He'll definitely get nominated at the Oscars if that happens. But again, you'd have to split the vote between Green Book and The Favorite. Okay, animated feature was Incredibles 2. Nah, no big surprise there. I would have thought Isle of Dogs maybe would have fought, a little more hardly on this, but I don't know. You never know how the voting goes out. Let's see, foreign language film was Cold War. So that's a question I have, and I don't know if anybody, except for the voting body, knows this. But if you got a film like Roma, which they put in their top films, did that not then qualify for foreign language or what? I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know if is there a part where they go to English or does it have to be all in a foreign language? They can't speak any English. I don't know. Documentary was RBG. They didn't go with Won't You Be My Neighbor, but yeah, we'll get to that one. Yeah, the rest of them were kind of just special prizes. Ensembles, one we can mention here. Crazy Rich Asians won that. I think Crazy Rich Asians, it's as far as like ensemble prize, I think it's in for because Critics' Choice has an ensemble prize. I think it's in there. It's knocking on the door for one of those SAG nominees for outstanding cast. I might after seeing this, and it's probably going to be a Globe nominee for motion picture, comedy musical, as well as actress and maybe supporting actress. I have it in for score at the Globes. It might get 3-4 nominations there. So if it can score well there and then it pops up at SAG, it starts to kind of become a lot more possible for that thing to get one of the slots for Best Picture. Because then, if it gets a PGA nomination, I doubt it's in for director really anywhere. I mean, not at Directors Guild, not at the Oscars or at the Globes or anything else. But if it can get those and a PGA nomination, and then from there, really any recognition from there. I mean, if it can nail one of those spots for supporting actress for Michelle Yeoh, then then it becomes, I think, a lot more possible for that one to get in. And it's remember adapted screenplay too. I mean, I think adapted screenplay right now with what we've got, it's pretty set, but especially at the Oscars too. But I might look over that list again and see if there's anything I want to pull, because we've got and again, adapted screenplay is where several of those Best Picture heavy favorites are competing. Yeah, because right now my 5 in adapted screenplay are BlacKkKlansman, Beale Street, Can You Ever Forgive Me, Widows, and First Man. Star is Born is also there in adapted. You've also got yeah, that's really about the only other one. So yeah, I think Crazy Rich Asians would be like the 7th place right now for me. So yeah, I would say 2 of these have got to miss. Which Widows, for what it is, I think it's a pretty good script. It's not my favorite of the year by any means. BlacKkKlansman's script is pretty hard to beat. But and then First Man's was good. It's got some memorable dialogue and everything. So I think that one, and also because it's Josh Singer, he's been on their radar for a while. Those two, and Gillian Flynn, though, I have to remember, Gone Girl was not a nominee that year. Should have been, absolutely should have been, for adapted that year, but it didn't get in. So, that's something to keep in mind. So, but then you got Star is Born, though, too, and that's Eric Roth, and Bradley Cooper is also a co-writer on that. So it's like, that might be too hard to resist for some of them too. So I mean, wow, yeah. So that's if Crazy Rich Asians can really land some of those nominations, then yeah, then it's definitely I think going to get in for Best Picture. But it's got a little bit of a road ahead of it. But yeah, this ensemble thing today that makes me say because I can't remember last time I updated my and released a video for you guys for SAG for film ensemble. Um, yeah, let me just go to that one right now. I've got The Favorite, then Beale Street, Green Book, Star is Born, and Vice right now. I think I had Widows in there previously. I pulled that one out and put Vice in. Crazy Rich Asians. I might have to pull one of these for Crazy Rich Asians. Damn, which one do I do? If I want to do that, because Vice has got a wicked full cast and a lot of great supporting actors and everything. So I think that one gets in. And I think because last year we were looking at stuff like because there were a lot of big surprises last year at SAG, especially in this ensemble category, like The Post missed and Shape of Water missed. So keep those in mind. Yeah, that's the thing. What if something like Beale Street maybe misses? Possibly. I mean, Barry Jenkins, Moonlight scored pretty well here a couple years ago. Not that one. I think Green Book's pretty much a lock. Even though, yeah, and I get it. There is kind of an argument there for both that one and A Star Is Born, where it's like it's kind of a two-hander with those two. For Green Book, it's Mahershala Ali and Viggo Mortensen. They're really the two most important actors in there, and that's really about it. You've got like Linda Cardellini and a few others in there that have supporting roles, but they're not like really going to be Oscar contenders. I think the same goes with Star Is Born, with the exception of like Sam Elliott, where it's really Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, and it's those two, and and Sam Elliott gets a couple scenes here and there, and then that's about it. So that's a 2.5-hander, if you get what I mean. So I would say, God, I don't know. And also The Favorite has been, if you want to already call it underperforming, I guess, but it didn't land anything today at National Board of Review. We'll get to that here in a second. Some of the ones that missed here. That's very surprising for me. I would have thought this one had a chance to win National Board of Review, possibly, if they really went for it, because it is a very young and hip director. Well, not young, but he's how old is Yorgos anyways? Or is he an old man and he's just fooling us? 45. Okay, so relatively on the younger side for director, but he's had films like The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer recently, and I haven't seen it, but the one Dogtooth people talk about every now and again. So that was a nominee for like foreign language film at the Oscars that year. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind here. I would have thought, yeah, but that's why I was thinking him for like director or something. It's like sometimes, especially because you have to remember, National Review right now is kind of voted on people who are around my age. Yeah, they're really they like to try to keep those hip directors in there, and and at the same time pay respect to some of the older directors. That's why I think something like Coen Brothers, Ballad of Buster Scruggs is on the list of films this year and stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, so. That's a toughie though for that ensemble thing. I'll do another SAG video before we get to the nominations. That's in like 2-3 weeks. No, 2 weeks. Yeah, it's 2 weeks from is it 2 weeks from today or tomorrow? It's something like that. So yeah, I'll have to really think about that because that ensemble category is tough. It was tough last year too with like Lady Bird and Get Out and a couple of those where I was on the fence about those, but I just thought something, especially when you had like heavy hitters like The Post and Shape of Water, it's like those can't miss, but they can sometimes. So, that's tough. That is tough. All right. Also have to remember too that usually SAG likes a Netflix film to be one of their nominees. So obviously, the big Netflix film this year is Roma, but Roma is not a fit, I don't think, otherwise for this category. I mean, it would be a real surprise to me if that one gets in. So, anyways, so that's that. So yeah, there are 10 films. Were Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Panther, Can You Ever Forgive Me, Eighth Grade, First Reformed, Beale Street, Mary Poppins Returns, Quiet Place, Roma, and A Star Is Born. Yeah, overall, I haven't seen, even though Ballad of Buster Scruggs is on Netflix now, I haven't gotten a chance to sit down and watch it yet, but generally I like the Coen Brothers, so I'll see. Black Panther's one. I mentioned it yesterday. I think this one was an expected one for this list. Can You Ever Forgive Me? I'm glad it's on here because it's one I'm really looking forward to seeing this one. Eighth Grade is on here. Yeah, that's yeah, it fits the kind of list here. First Reformed is one. It's been a real kind of critical darling here this year, so that's one. Yeah, makes sense, especially with the screenplay win. Beale Street, I think, was an expected one. Mary Poppins Returns. That's an interesting one. Now I mentioned like that one. Quiet Place is on here. They do sometimes go for those. Some of the more mainstream films, like Dunkirk, for what it was, kind of had some mainstream appeal to it. Logan last year was on the list of films, so that was a pretty mainstream one. Baby Driver was on there last year, so those are a few. Let's see, 2016. What did we have? 2016 was pretty much all the nothing really too highbrow there for like kind of mainstream releases. Obviously, something like Mad Max in 2015. Straight Outta Compton was on there. The Martian was on there. Inside Out was on there. Creed was on there. So that one went a little more mainstream in 2015. At the time, American Sniper was not a very big, mainstream movie, but of course it blew up at the box office. Fury was one that got in 2014. Gone Girl, Lego Movie for sure. So yeah, Unbroken for what it's worth. Yeah, for if you want to call it mainstream. Gravity was one in 2013. Again, if you want to call it mainstream. Lone Survivor got in there. Saving Mr. Banks was there. Okay, yeah. So yeah, there you go. And also, I forgot Secret Life of Minnie was in there too. Secret Life of Walter Mitty, I should say. Wow, yeah, I remember that one. God, I don't know if that movie holds up at all. I don't know. I thought it was fine when it came out, but I didn't haven't cared enough to go back and rewatch it or anything. So yeah. Okay. So like Mary Poppins, yeah, they do sometimes go for the mainstream stuff. So yeah, that also fits in with Quiet Place. Star is Born has made almost 200 million here in the U.S. Pretty big hit there. And yeah, Roma I think was one we were expecting too. Let's see here. For the documentaries, the foreign language they kind of go their own way. So Cold War and it was in there. Yeah, so I don't know if there's a rule about that for Roma. Since they put it in the film list, if overall, if that means that it disqualifies it from foreign language, or you only have to be one, I guess that's true because you've got like independent films have a separate category here too, but you've also got a lot of these other films that are in the top films this year were independent, so keep that in mind. Documentaries that we can mention like Crime and Punishment, Free Solo, Minding the Gap, Three Identical Strangers, Won't You Be My Neighbor. These plus RBG have really been the six, I think, that have been floating around for the films that are going to get in at the Oscars, I think, this year. Really, yeah, I think I can't think of way too many other ones. The one on Whitney Houston was one early on that people were talking about, but that one I haven't really heard about much since then. So that's those. And then the independent films, they had Death of Stalin, Lean on Pete, Leave No Trace, Mid-90s, Old Man and the Gun, The Writer, Searching, Sorry to Bother You, We the Animals, and You Were Never Really Here. Most of these were much bigger hits at Indie Spirits and stuff. And yeah, so a lot of those like Indie Spirit favorites like Leave No Trace and The Writer and Sorry to Bother You and We the Animals, You Were Never Really Here, a lot of those scored big at Indie Spirits. A lot of that is not transferring over for these, for like film and director and all the top, big major categories there. So, yeah, that's not too surprising. Yeah, like I said, sometimes Indie Spirits, they have a chance to award some of those more highbrow indie films that are sure bets to go on to the Oscars, and then sometimes they like to just acknowledge the smaller ones and the ones that they come out, make a little money, and then that's about it. So. And most of them are pretty good from what we know. Anyways, so I guess that's really about it for this one. Obviously with the exceptions there, I mentioned The Favorite, nothing. That's very surprising for me. You think especially with like Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz in the cast, and everything, it's like that's pretty, and Nicholas Hoult and a couple others. Even if Olivia Colman is not a huge name yet, it's like that's that's a pretty stacked cast otherwise. So. That's surprising. First Man got nothing. La La Land was given. It was one of the films. I don't know if it won anything else in 2016, but it was on the list at least. Let's see. Black Klansman got nothing. That's too bad. I'm starting to, like I said, unless we have a woke Twitter moment over that whole thing about African American directors have never won for the Academy Award for Best Director, unless something like that picks up, very quickly here. It's gonna have to start pretty soon. Uh, I think Spike Lee's he might get in, but as a nominee, but that's gonna be about it. Uh, yeah, so that means and I don't know if I then default to Alfonso Cuarón, or if I want to go Bradley Cooper, or if I want to go Barry Jenkins, since I have Beale Street also winning picture, so I don't know. He's kind of, he's got a little bit of an IOU for not winning director for Moonlight, so keep that in mind too. So yeah. All right. Let's see. There was one other one I mentioned. Vice. Yeah, Vice didn't get anything either, but most of the time there's an excuse. It's like, oh, they haven't seen it yet. Whatever. Like we said that all the time. Like especially with Silence that year. I remember that one. It got nothing at the Globes, got nothing at SAG, got nothing at Critics' Choice, got nothing at no, I was gonna say this one at National Board Review, but no, it got several nominations at National Board Review. It was one of the films that won for. Actually, hold on, where did that list go? Oh, I lost it now. Yeah, it won for a couple of things I remember. So yeah, so they had seen it. So for the most part, yeah, National Board Review sees everything for the most part. So that would be a rare exception if they missed Vice. So yeah, I guess they just didn't care for it. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that was the only other thing I really had to say. So yeah, I don't think there's any particular game changers here today. Nothing that makes me spin my head around and say, "Whoa, we're going here. We're going this direction now." With the exception maybe like something like Crazy Rich Asians with that ensemble prize. That makes me, yeah, I don't know if I want to put that one in for SAG ensemble. I got to really pull some teeth to get one of those other 5 out. Yeah, the rest. I mean, yeah, especially like Regina King. That's one I think we all pretty much are on the same page about, unless somebody like Amy Adams comes up, or possibly Claire Foy still. But First Man, especially if it's been losing traction here lately, that it might be a token nomination at this rate for her. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say it, but it could be. I'm reminded of Steve Jobs with that film. It's like it started out huge. Everybody said, "Oh, it's going to get in for picture and director, and it's going to be a big hit with the text too. It's going to get film editing. It's going to get this, that." And it's like with Steve Jobs, it like everything slowly started to fall apart for that movie. And pretty soon we're like, well, for sure it's in for screenplay. It'll get actor and it'll get supporting actress. It'll get at least those 3. And then it couldn't even land screenplay. It got the 2 actors in there, but that was it. So I mean, could be a pretty similar thing for First Man, where it's like supporting actress for sure. Maybe Ryan Gosling falls out of Best Actor. I already took out Damien Chazelle for Director. It's toward the bottom of my list now for Best Picture, and it's also toward the bottom now for Screenplay. It's cinematography's one. I could see it falling out of that. I already took it out for editing. I think the sound categories are pretty safe still at this rate. And I also think original score, those are pretty safe. So I think it might end up with one big nomination there. Worst case scenario, I think Claire Foy still gets in, and then it gets a few techs, and that's it. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, we'll see the supporting actor race. I think is going to be interesting from here. We'll see if Richard E. Grant really solidifies in the next couple of groups, or if they want to go with Mahershala, or if they want to go Beautiful Boy with Timothée Chalamet, or if they want to keep on Sam Elliott. We'll see. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I guess that's all I've got for now. We will be back here either on Thursday after New York finishes with their voting, or we'll be back not long after that when they're done and when we have some more stuff to talk about. So, yeah, we're gonna keep it relatively short and sweet there. So, all right, we'll see what happens on Thursday.